guys, Heather Monero, William Rivas Real Estate.
Jack Connor, MBA Mortgage.
We are here back with another local business spotlight, this time
InSitu.
Architects. This is right up our alley. Let's go see. With Tim at InSitu Architects in downtown Maynard. So nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having us. And you had sort of told me, because I was afraid of butchering the name, and you sort of gave us a little bit of background to sum up, like, what does that mean? How did you come up with the name, and what does your company do? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I really like the name. We thought quite a bit about it. When we first opened, we were Main Street Studio. We wanted to kind of, convey, it's funny. It was like, there was a lot of conversation in those years of like Wall Street versus Main Street. And we wanted to kind of put the emphasis on locality and kind of, sort of intimacy and authenticity and kind of boots on the ground. I love the word studio. I've worked in offices and firms, and for me, the word studio evokes the collaborative, creative spirit that I remember from school and design studio. And InSitu, I think, means, what it means to me is roughly of this place. Okay. And, here in this place. And that's the way I like to think of solving design problems. And that, every really insightful solution and every really beautiful piece of architecture or any kind of placemaking is really rooted first in understanding what are the acute circumstances in the place that it's in. Are we on a hillside? We have, we've got an uphill side and a downhill side. We've got a great view this way and a not so great view over that way. A tight neighbor here or a conservation issue there. So for me, it's a kind of a reminder that, we don't like to, we often hear from clients who say, oh, I love a building that looks like this, or I saw something like this in a magazine. Can I have one of those? And, our answer is that what makes that building beautiful is that it's a carefully resolved solution to a problem that it has. Yeah. And when we understand your circumstances and your needs, we're going to discover that you have a different problem. We're going to solve that as well as we can, and it's going to be beautiful in a way that's its own. It may share some things with this other bit you've been inspired by, but we're not just going to grab it and try to wedge it in and make it fit.
I love that. It's a thoughtful approach that is fitted to that circumstance and also that property, which I think is awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we've had a circumstance where over the last 5, 6, 7 years, almost every one of our projects requires some kind of rigorous engagement, like with local authorities. We're already over the side yard setback. We're straddling a stream. We're, adjacent to our wetlands. There are always local, immediately acute circumstances that require real attention, and not just to satisfy the authorities, but to really solve the problem well.
Sure. Now, I've seen, and I drool when I go past some of your projects. We were just talking about one in Concord, but I've seen your stuff in Maynard too. Let me ask you a question. I've seen that there's a modern flair. Is that always typically what you have? Or if you have someone who says, I don't like modern, I want really classic, what is your style, or are you able to kind of change that?
Yeah, it's right now it's 2026, and I've only ever been alive in the current year. Yeah. Right. And I drive a new car and I wear new shoes, and I think there's something immediate and urgent, and in a certain way, the only responsible way to be a designer or an architect or anybody thinking about placemaking is to let that time matter
Sure.
and let that time be kind of present and legible. Here's the trick. We don't occupy a clean slate environment. We are in New England where the context is largely built out. The language of most places is largely defined. So more than the passion we feel, and passion isn't even really specifically I think of it more authentically as like almost an obligation to kind of use and whatever, occupy the modern present. A stronger obligation is to be focused on a kind of holistic sense of what is the place we occupy. We want to make it better. We're not, it's not our goal to say, make sure you don't miss our project that we added there. That may or may not have its own virtues in some cases, but in every case, we want to be trying to improve not just, a parcel, but the neighborhood.
Sure.
Make the whole thing better.
Yeah.
So, there are some cases, in a historic district, very often we're going to be required to really, really use the language that exists in that district. Although even there's been quite a bit of flexibility. We have a project in Acton Historic District right now on School Street. It's another conspicuous one. You may have driven by it. That's a pretty modern barn on the foundation of an old barn in a historic district. And, I think it's the sort of thoughtful desire to allow the present to matter in context with the antique.
Sure.
That, the historic commission, the district commission in Acton was really very much interested in that. I actually just got an email from one of those folks over the weekend. They said, it's looking great. We can't wait for the open house. The commissioners all want to see it.
Good.
So it's really about context, right?
Okay.
And when the context allows it or demands it, if it were up to me, everything would be modern, but we're not living on Mars or in the desert or, it's not, a period of time or a greenfield environment where that's necessarily sensible or welcome.
Yeah. So talk to me about how did you get started and why are you here in Maynard? What is Maynard significantly and how did you get here?
Well, the answer that comes to mind for me, I'm not a New Englander. I grew up initially in the Midwest. I went to school in upstate New York and went to Manhattan ended up being 10 years after architecture school. I just had in mind that I would sort of cut my teeth there and then decide where I wanted to go.
It's a good place.
Yeah,
like
well,
there's design.
Yeah, there's a lot that I loved about my time there, but I love very much about Maynard that has to do with how they're at the same time, together at the same time. For me, and I think for many, maybe more creative people than otherwise, there's a way that you can see both the manifested reality of cool things happening and the clear need for more cool things to happen together at the same time. And so you see a few signs of life or several or increasing signs of life and you think to yourself, but we really need to fix the way the relationship to the river works. We really need to fix the situation around the basin and Veterans Park. It's, I think, one of the most cool things about Maynard is if you want to be involved, if you see some things that you have an opinion on or think you might be able to be helpful on, go to a meeting and raise your hand and you're going to find yourself involved and, on a group or a committee and having a hand in the solution.
I love that.
That's a pretty cool thing.
I love that. In fact, I can speak to that the same as you and to your point. there's so many local groups that are involved in organizations, and I'm on the marketing task force and the EDC and stuff like that, but you're so right. Our town has so many unique qualities and potential, and it's like, how can we get people to see that and really elevate it to its best? So, I think that you're the perfect person to speak to that too. One last question before, and then I want you to take us around, and then I know Jack also has some questions for you. Talk to me about scale. So if somebody came to you and they said, I don't have like a whole brand new build or a barn or an ADU or something like that. I just want you to work with what I have and redo my kitchen or my living room. Do you guys do that, or is it more larger scale?
We do really any scale, and if the question is about what kind of projects are a good fit, that we've learned sometimes the hard way over the years that, for a long time we didn't say no to anything. And, I'm happy to do a bathroom or a barn or a whole new house or a commercial project. The things that make it really a good fit for us are if the project really has some special needs. If you said, what might be a special need? It could be as simple as like, I love the aesthetic of, some of these projects I've seen on your website, the beauty of the experience and the kind of serenity of what it feels like to enter into this space and framing my art and my life and the vista out to the landscape. That stuff is really, really important to me. It's a better way to counter it, that we get a lot of calls from folks that are, really just focused on their real estate. And by that, I think the things I think of are square footage and zip code, right? We're not better at square footage than the next guy. And we're definitely not fast. And, for folks that, just say, I need a 300 square foot addition and we got to get started in June. I say, you know what, we're probably not going to be a good fit. We're going to be pretty expensive. We can't get it done in June. And there are, other folks that are a better fit for that. The things that are going to be a great fit for us are anything that has, we can't help but pay attention, pay close attention, and we can't help but dig beneath the surface and try to figure out what are the ways that this thing is either obligated to or has a really valuable opportunity to have some special relationships.
It's thoughtful, solution-based thinking, and not just let's make it look as modern or as, with the fad and the times as possible. And I think that that's great. You're working with what's there and what makes the most sense for that home and that environment and that situation. And I think that that's really rare. Sometimes people will just come in and they'll tell you what you want to hear, and sure, we can do that, and here it is. But I feel like you guys are almost an Excalibur, what are just really, really thoughtful thinking. And I think that that's great.
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, I tend to think that that's better, but it's really like we can't help it. If you said to me, I really just want this bathroom to work, can you just draw it up, but please pick all the tile? In a day and a half, I'm going to have suggested things that you think, Tim, hang on, man, I just wanted it 5 by 8, and you're already proposing these other things. Like,
because if you're going to do it, you want to do it the right way.
We're going to do it as thoroughly as we can, and we're going to get excited about it.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Is a current favorite project. This is out in Carlisle, and the view we have here is sort of built from a spot that used to be deep into the woods. So this house was built in 1980, kind of a developer special, I imagine. Lots of house, but it had a really cramped, kind of awkward relationship to its site. It was a lovely house inside and a lovely 5-acre parcel out on 50-acre road. But the only relationship to the exterior was out the front. So they had this kind of back entertaining deck that you'd want in your backyard, like stuck in their front yard. So every visitor kind of arrived and was confronted with that. So our task here, we didn't add a bedroom, we didn't add a bathroom, we didn't add 1 square foot to the conditioned envelope, but everything we did was about addressing the interface between the parcel and the house and try to improve their relationship so that when you're in the house, you get some direct connection to the vista, connection out to the yard, and vice versa. So we added a whole bunch of this kind of intermediate space, a big open deck, a covered deck, a kind of a screen porch zone over there. That's going to be a really fun one. I think it's going to be pretty photogenic.
I mean, this is pretty photogenic. So, I mean, I can't wait to see the actual thing.
Yeah. Well, it's underway now. It'll probably be wrapped up this summer.
How long do projects like this, something like this, take you to do?
So, yeah, the quick answer, sort of on average, is we'll spend anywhere from like 6 to 12 months in design and development, and then typically, even the smallest of projects is like at least 3 to 4 months, even if it's just doing a bathroom in construction, because there's like every trade in the world is involved in a bathroom. But it's funny. It's like toward the extremes, whether large or small, there's a way that the extremes almost don't matter. And so, a year in construction, sometimes 18 months in construction, you can build a huge house that fast. So we like to stay involved through construction. We prefer to kind of conduct what's called a construction administration phase, where we meet pretty frequently, typically like every couple weeks, with the owner and the builder on site. Sometimes I talk about it like, the set of plans is like the game plan, but participating through the construction process is a little bit like having a coach on the field during the game.
And in your years of design and all this architect work that you do, has anybody come to you with something that's just completely bananas, like a glass wall toilet, or I don't know.
This guy came to us. This is actually a Maynard project over on Country Lane. This guy came to us with a completely glass room and a representation of logs for his floor, and we took that on board and digested it and worked with him for some months, and he's got a beautiful little project. Called it the Glass Sandwich, and
I love that.
It doesn't look to me really anything like what he brought to us, but I think to him it's all embedded and kind of embodied in there. I think he feels like it's all in there.
And are there any trends that you've seen come and go, and maybe thankfully seen go, and I guess what's trending now?
We work so hard to be timeless,
Yeah.
And it's like any trend comes from a good place, right? It's the modern farmhouse or mid-century modernism. They all come from a spot where a certain set of problems has been solved so well, and it becomes telegenic and photogenic and beautiful and seductive, and people buy into it. But then it becomes a shortcut for sort of not doing your homework. As long as you can kind of make it look like this other one that people know is good, then you don't really have to do your homework. You don't really have to solve the problem. You just say, oh, it's modern farmhouse or mid-century modern, or it's whatever it is. We work pretty hard to be timeless and think in a way that's kind of timeless and recognized. I mean, I've been doing this long enough to see, I don't know, what's another example? I don't know. For a while there was big whirlpool tub would be in a big, massive raised platform.
Yeah.
With the columns. The
It's
columns.
just the silly stuff. Or
Yeah.
I don't know. Tumbled marble was a great trend. I mean, that's another thing that drives me bananas. Like, when I see people spend projects that have obviously used really, really expensive materials in a not very thoughtful way. You know.
So tell me a little bit about the process. I know we're just looking at like ADUs, renovation, additions. Like, do people just come to you with like a note written in crayon? This is my idea. Like,
you know, our typical process is, you know, if it's an addition or renovation, we're going to study the existing conditions. That's a period of time, you know, that can be a few weeks or sometimes a few months if it's a complicated site. Then we'll go into the schematic design, which is the part that looks and feels like design.
yeah.
You know, anybody would recognize that we're making sketches, building models, considering alternatives. But then, you know, because we're in, I don't know, it's the return on investment matters for everybody every time, no matter how wealthy they are, no matter what their zip code or their price point. Always, there's a kind of go, no-go point with this project where we sort of recognize that in the beginning, when they're paying for design time, it's pretty speculative. You know, they may have a number in mind, they don't always share it with us, they know what their place is worth, they have some sense of what it could be worth in a maxed out scenario, but they don't yet, and we don't yet know how close to that we can get through this dance. You know, how long are they going to stay there? Is this there forever? All those things kind of matter, and we tease that stuff out through the design process.
Again, doesn't have to. Whatever comes to your mind.
I feel like I'm on a game show.
You are. This is kind of what it is, right?
I see.
But there's no prize.
Are there hot
There's no
peppers?
prize.
No prize.
No,
Hot
right,
peppers?
yeah. I have an aquarium full of cockroaches. No, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Iced or hot?
Hot.
I love that. You're after my own heart.
I'm not a blasphemer. Come on, man.
White kitchen or colorful kitchen?
Yes.
I was trying to think of questions I could get that wouldn't give me the yes or the depends. Like,
Yes.
do you
both.
have a preference? Like for
my,
you, like
my kitchen is white because it's surrounded by the maple floor and the unfinished wood ceiling above it.
Okay.
Didn't need any more color.
Fair.
Yeah.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke. These are easy ones.
I know. Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Me too.
Yeah. Wasn't always true. I'm older than I used to be.
Renovation or new construction?
I would rather do new construction.
Okay. There it is.
It's
See?
easier, simpler, and faster.
I agree.
But I'm in New England, so
You get a lot of renovation.
A lot of good houses already here, man.
Yeah.
You know what else about that? I
Tell
know
me.
you're trying to be funny with this, but there's nothing more satisfying than fixing a broken house or fixing a broken relationship between
Sure.
the house and the people or the house and the landscape. It's so painful to walk into a house that you know somebody worked hard on, you know is important to them and their family, you know what a big deal it is. It's so compelling to walk in there and think, if we make this change, if we make that change.
Yeah.
And we get calls, we really do get calls from people that, you know, the first snowfall of the day, you know, or of the year, they're in their new glass room or, you know, in a moment where they're experiencing one of those relationships that we helped create for them on their site, we get that call and they say, you know what, I'm in here, the snow is falling. I just want to say it feels so cool to have this. You made it.
That sounds like an awesome, like, that seems awesome.
That's what it's about.
I get it. Oh, my screen went away. Did I ask you text or phone call?
Nope.
Do you have a preference?
Show up and knock on the door.
Show up and knock on it. That's what we did.
Yeah.
And then let's see. Well, I think we kind of hit on this earlier. Like, are you more historic or modern? Like, what's your like?
Yes, both.
We're kind of hitting both of them.
Now exists in time. History is still happening.
Okay. Sweet.
Apply the present to the reality that we have.
And I think the last one I have here: brick or wood exterior.
Wood.
There it is. There you have it. That's all I got.